I don't want to waste your time. We have a lot of teams that we need to get through today. First one's going to be from White Mamba. Says, enjoying the content over the years. Thanks as always for the insight. Recently traded Jefferson and Hampton for Ricky and Bijan. If I'm looking at this, Jefferson to Bijan, undoubtedly an upgrade. Hampton to Ricky, I still believe in Hampton. I would still prefer him over Ricky Pearsall, but I think that they are closer. But despite the wide receiver room and trying to save the Kittle injury, any help would be appreciated, and good luck in the Flock League. Thank you so much, my guy. And super excited to go through and check this team out for you. Before we get into anything here, let me make sure that I send you over some free questions just in case there's anything that you want to follow up from what we say in this stream. Now, this is going to be a 12-team start 8 format, so we can get up to 4 wide receivers into the starting lineup here weekly. So the depth is going to matter a little bit more. We are third in the league analyzer when it comes to value. However, we are currently sitting at 0-2. Now, it looks like we are an unlucky 0-2 because we are 4th in the league when it comes to actual total points scored. And we just made that trade for Bijan Robinson. So obviously the team's going to be a little bit different. So let's go through and let's first just identify some waiver wire pivots that we would make. Going over and looking at the waiver wire at running back, there aren't many interesting names. I would say that it's very clear at this point. The only interest that you have with DJ Giddens whatsoever would be as the premium handcuff to Jonathan Taylor. You would never, and I repeat, ever go through and start DJ Giddens outside of a Jonathan Taylor injury. But given the offense and given the prospect profile, I would say that if Taylor were to go down, DJ Giddens could have league-winning upside, to be completely honest. Now, going over and looking at what we have at the bottom end of this roster, I don't see how Trey Tucker ever gives you that kind of upside. So even in a league in which your wide receiver room's pretty ugly, I would be dropping Trey Tucker if you didn't want to get DJ Giddens and instead you wanted to give one of the rookie wide receivers that haven't done really anything this season. If you wanted to give them a shot, you could look at Jaden Higgins or Luther Burden off the waiver wire, but those would be the 2 names that I'd be interested in. Now, going over and looking at our roster itself, quarterback, we have Mahomes and Caleb. So completely fine spot to be in, right? Obviously, we're starting Mahomes most weeks here. I would say this one week in particular, it's actually interesting to consider Caleb, just given how good the matchup is going to be going up against the Dallas Cowboys. But most weeks, we are probably going to go ahead and we are going to be playing Patrick Mahomes. Now, going over and looking at what we have at running back, we have the 2 hammers with Bijan Achane. Beyond that, we have Nick Chubb if we get desperate. And we have Trey Benson as like a premium handcuff option. So there's not much that you would ever need at running back. I mean, right now the league analyzer has us as the number 1 running back room in this league. Going over to wide receiver, the issue is you're 0-2. We need a win right now. We have Rashee Rice, who obviously is not going to be available for quite some time. And on top of this, you're actually looking at Xavier Worthy as an option that may play this week, but we're definitely not excited to get him in. So wide receiver is really bad, at least in the short term. I would say in the long term, like Rashee Rice being a wide receiver 1 is solid. But again, you're not going to get Rice for another 4 weeks. And because you are 0-2, you need to start considering how to win games right now. And then it's almost a similar scenario to what we have with George Kittle, where if we're going to be looking at Kittle, like, I understand we have the long-term upside, we have the long-term appeal, but we're 0-2. We can't keep just thinking about long-term here. So for me, I would drop Trey Tucker. I'd pick up DJ Giddens. I understand that it looks like you probably have no Kraft this week. Has Luke Musgrave ever been viable? He actually got drafted ahead of Tucker Kraft back in 2023. The best game we've ever had from Luke Musgrave throughout his entire career is 14 points. So, like, I know a lot of people are going to go out there and think that Luke Musgrave's an interesting play this week just because they kind of want to get cute with it, but I'm not in line with that. However, the options on your waiver wire, they're less than stellar. Like Britton Strange is the number 1 guy out there, but Strange played 90% of the snaps this past week. I would actually probably cut Luke Musgrave for Britton Strange, even with Kraft looking like he's going to miss. And then I think I would approach some 2-0 teams at the moment and try to give them Rice. Try to give them Kittle. What's hilarious with your league? This is actually really funny. The team that's number 1 in points for, they're 1-1. Team that's number 2 in points for, they're 1-1. The team that's number 3 in points for, they're 1-1. The team that's number 4 in points for is 0-2. Like the teams that are 2-0 have actually gotten a little bit lucky here. But this team's 2-0 at the moment. I would see if you could flip Rashee Rice for Zay Flowers. Again, this team maybe can wait on Rice a way that we can't. This other team that's 2-0, they're sitting with, I would try to flip Rashee Rice for AJ Brown. I would offer Rashee Rice and George Kittle for AJ Brown and Travis Kelce. I think you probably lose long-term there when it comes to value. But again, we need to be more so prioritizing what we have with the short-term production so we make sure that we are not going to be losing this. And then we already made this trade with the team where we just sent them Justin Jefferson. They're 2-0. I would try to offer them George Kittle and maybe Kittle. I would offer them Kittle and Worthy for McBride and just see what they say. But maybe get up to Rice. But ultimately, I think what you have to do with your team is, while I like the long-term appeal of it, you're 0-2. You need to get points into this lineup now. And with the Worthy injury, with the Rice suspension, with the Kittle injury, this is too much to overcome. Where realistically, we need to get to a spot where in week 8, we are 3-5, right? That's like the base minimum. We want to be 3-5 by week 8. Which means we need to go 3-3 over the next 6 weeks. And I don't think this team has it in it to go 3-3 over the next 6 weeks. I think you need to sell some of these players that aren't producing at the moment and have long-term upside for players that we can realistically trust right now. Now, I sent you over those free questions just in case you have anything that you want to follow up with, but I really do appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. But let's go ahead and let's dive into our next team. And that's going to be from Jake Cook. Jake, appreciate you and excited to look at this. You're saying 14 teams start 7. Top 8 teams make the playoffs. Recently traded for Lamar and Sutton. Tracy losing his job sucks, and now my running back room's horrible. Do I just stick it out and wait for one of the running backs to become decent, or what moves do we need to make? I don't want to kill my depth in case of injuries because the waiver wire is trash. Completely understand that because this is a 14-team format, right? Now, we are second in the league analyzer. We are currently 0-2. So I will say maybe it's not the end of the world being 0-2 here if 8 out of 14 teams are going to make the playoffs. But still, we need to start winning games sooner rather than later, right? So let's go through and let's sort this by points for. If we're looking at points for, you're kind of right in the middle of the league so far. We are looking at Lamar as a QB that we're starting every single week, regardless of matchup. I will say, just because it's a 14-team format and options on the waiver wire typically are disgusting, I would be completely fine if you wanted to go through and if you wanted to go ahead and pick up another quarterback from waivers. If you wanted to, I have Jeremy McNichols clearly ranked ahead of Rodgers and Darnold, but it's a 14-team format. There are only 2 QBs that are sitting out there that even have starting jobs. So if you wanted to drop the bum running back for a bum quarterback, I'm okay with it. Now, yeah, the Tracy injury kills this team, and Charbonnet's injured as well. So realistically, you may be starting RJ Harvey as your running back 2 and Travis Etienne as your RB1 this week. Now, because it's a 14-team format, it's not inherently the worst thing in the world. Like if it was a 10-team league, I'd say, you know what, man, it's time to pack it up and probably look at what we have in 2026 and beyond, and maybe try to go out there and take the girl to a nice dinner, just have some fun, stop thinking about football. But 14-team league, you're fine. You can survive this, especially because we go over to wide receiver. We have the 3rd best wide receiver room in this league with JSN, Drake London, Cortland Sutton. We have Deebo Samuel wide receiver 4. Now, again, waiver wires, absolute hot garbage, right? As we cycle through here, like the best wide receiver on the waivers is going to be Deonta Thornton. So if you were to go through and if you were to look at what we have with like potential options that we could grab, they're non-existent. So if this was like a 10-team league, I'd say, man, you know what? You really got to go through and you got to sell a wide receiver and RJ Harvey to get the best running back that you possibly can. But here instead, because this is a 14-team format, I like having the wide receiver depth. I like the fact that we are going to have a very strong wide receiver 1. We are going to have a better wide receiver 2 than anybody else in this league. We're going to have a better wide receiver 3 than the vast majority of this league every single week. Like Sutton is a phenomenal flex in a 14-teamer. And then going over to tight end, we have the combination of Kyle Pitts as well as Dalton Kincaid. So tight end, we're completely fine. Depending if Pitts has a really good week this week and maybe we could hopefully sell one of these tight ends, get a running back upgrade, we'd go for it. But overall, I really like your team with how it's situated at the moment. After you made that trade for Lamar, I think I really want to sit with this team as is. If I were going to be making any adjustments, I think it's going to hinge around getting an upgrade at running back. I would say for the vast majority of people, what we want to be doing here is we want to be holding on to RJ Harvey, knowing that RJ Harvey is going to get better as time goes on. However, in your one specific scenario, because you are 0-2, if you fall to 0-3, that will then be the spot where you don't really have an option. And you're going to need to go through and you're going to need to look to sell like Deebo Samuel and RJ Harvey and just simply get the best running back that you possibly could in return for the short term. But I don't want to give up on this team just yet. I don't want to make any dramatic trades like that. Because again, I think that it's a quality roster in a 14-teamer given the strength at quarterback and the strength at wide receiver. Especially if we started Dalton Kincaid last night. Hopefully we did. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. Let me go ahead and send you over some of those free questions just in case there's anything else that you wanted to follow up with us, my guy. But let's move this over to our next team. This is going to be Yonder. Says, Mason, you helped me win the championship last year and would love to do it again. Let me know what you think. We'll say it's pretty hard to make trades in the league, so I feel like I got to slightly overpay. So the first thing we'll do in that instance is we'll look at waiver wire pivots. Nonetheless, I'm going to send you over those free vouchers for trades and start set questions. We are currently 4th in the league in Analyzer in terms of total value. We are 1-1. We are also 4th in our league in total points scored. It looks like the Analyzers kind of nailed this so far. So first things first, if we are looking at just easy moves that we can make with the waiver wire, I would say that we probably want to go through and we probably want to be cutting Braylon Allen in favor of Trey Benson off waivers. And then since this is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format, I don't really know if we ever have the upside where we're going to be able to get Darnell Mooney in our lineup with confidence. So I would also consider, not necessarily something that you have to do, but I would consider potentially cutting Darnell Mooney for Joe Mixon as well. And then just loading up with the running backs that have a ton of long-term upside. But anyway, quarterback, tight end, we're phenomenal. It's a 10-team league, so you only start 2 receivers in a flex. So quarterback and tight end are both going to make up a very high percentage of our starting lineup output weekly. So really like what we have there. Or running back, we have Achane, Etienne, Hampton, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, RJ Harvey, Byshell Tootin. I think we should be picking up Trey Benson and Joe Mixon as well. And honestly, I think by the time you get to week 6 with that kind of running back room, with the rookies coming through in a big time way for us, you'll probably be in a situation in which you have the best running back room in this league. So I really like what we have here at RB. Looking at what we have at the wide receiver position, like we have Marv wide receiver 2. I'd say wide receiver 2 is going to be our weakest spot in the long term, but I'm not going to want to make a trade to go out there and overpay for a wide receiver 2 just yet, because I know you said that if we're going to make a trade in this league, it really does need to be an overpay. But I think eventually what we are going to want to do with your team is you are eventually going to want to sell Travis Etienne and Marvin Harrison to go out there and get the best wide receiver that we can. Now, I think we're not going to do that right now. And the reason is, right now specifically, you're in a little bit of a tougher spot if you're going to be looking at what we have with production in the short term. Because production in the short term, RJ Harvey is not reliable. Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt's not reliable. Amari Hampton's not reliable. Byshell Tutin's not reliable. Trey Benson won't be reliable. Joe Mixon won't be reliable either. So I would say that long term, we're selling Etienne and Marv to get the best wide receiver 2 we possibly can. But short term, this is a great team. We're sitting on our hands. We're going to let the rookie running backs continue to get better. I'll make those small waiver wire pivots. But yeah, I absolutely love this squad. I love what we're doing with our bench specifically. But I really appreciate you. I really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. And let me send you over those free questions. Actually, I already sent you over those in case you wanted to follow up with anything. I'll be super happy to take a look at it for you, my guy. Now, let's move this over to our next question. It's going to be from BZJ. It says, any trade recommendations? This is a good team name. Bands Emeka Dance. That is a good name, my guy. Where the hell are we in terms of the league analyzer? Did we change our team name? No, we are right here. 8th in the league analyzer. We are 2-0, but we've only scored 206 points. So we are actually 8th in total points scored. So you can take this one of two ways. You can say, 1, maybe we've gotten lucky so far, or 2, maybe we play great defense. Now, going through and looking at the waiver wire things that stand out to us in the short term, for me personally, I think Caleb Johnson is probably a better running back than Ollie Gordon. And on top of that, for me personally, I think that Devon Achan's a better running back than Jaylen Warren. So for that reason, I would rather have Caleb Johnson over Ollie Gordon. I would go ahead. I would cut Gordon. I'd pick up Caleb. But then outside of that, probably not wanting to do anything when it comes to what we have with waiver wire pivots. Quarterback, we have Bo Nix, and that's it. This is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. So eventually, I would like to, if possible, go out there and upgrade running back. Upgrade quarterback. Looking at running back, we have Bucky, Hampton, Harvey, Montgomery, Sharps, Brian Robinson, and then Caleb Johnson. So we are in a very fortunate position where we have 2 of the rookie running backs that aren't producing right now with the combination of RJ Harvey and Amari and Hampton. But frankly, it's not going to matter if they aren't producing because we are 2-0. So we can afford to wait just a bit here for that production. So in the long term, what I'll say is we're probably eventually going to want to sell one of these running backs with Bo Nix to hopefully get an upgrade at quarterback if we can. But in the short term, nobody's trading for the rookie running backs. We can afford to hold on to them. And I actually think that we're in a really good spot. Going over to wide receiver, not the best wide receiver room in terms of top end production. We have Adams, Igbuka, Metcalf. We have Matthew Golden for the long term here as well. But nonetheless, we're completely fine at wide receiver. Going over to tight end, we have the elite tight end with Brock Bowers. I mean, if we could find a team that's desperate for tight end production and we could send them Jake Ferg, like this team is Jonnu Smith. Could we send them Jake Ferguson and DK Metcalf in a 2-for-1 deal to get to Mike Evans? Could we send them Jake Ferg and get back Drake May to play the matchups with Bo Nix? Because it's definitely more likely that we would ever consider putting May in the lineup over Bo than we would ever consider putting Jake Ferg in the lineup over Brock Bowers. So overall, I think a big thing that you're doing on your team is just waiting for the rookie running backs to improve. If you could sell Jake Ferg, let's do it. But you're 2-0, so I don't think you need to panic with these rookie running backs. I think it's going to be just fine, to be honest with you. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. And again, thank you so much for being a member of the flock. Now, let's move this over to our next one. This is going to be Samwich. Says, drafted Igbuka and had Mason, traded them for Nico recently, and I think I'm set up well for when Rice comes back. So it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, 10-team league. So in general, I like 2-for-1 deals like that because the depth's not going to matter as much. Let me send you over some questions. That way, if you have any future trades that you wanted me to look at, I'd be happy to take a peek at them for you. We are currently second in the league analyzer with value. We're 2-0. We've scored 258 points. So we are number one in this league, both in the standings as well as our points scored. So a very comfortable spot to be in. It's a roster where quarterback and tight end is going to make up a very high percentage of our starting lineup output weekly, just because you can only start 2 wide receivers in a flex. So this is an incredible team. How the hell do you have this team? Quarterback, we have Lamar. So we have the elite QB. Tight end, we have Tyler Warren. So we have the elite tight end. Tyler Warren banged up a bit, so I understand if you wanted to roster the backup with TJ Hawkinson for right now. Looking at what we have at running back, we have Achane, we have Genty, we have Chase Brown. So we have 3 guys that we can be excited to put into our starting lineup weekly. Wide receiver, we have Nico, we have Marv that we can start in the short term. And in the long term, we're going to get the upside of Rashee Rice, Chris Godwin. This is an incredible team. An incredible team. I'm going to have a difficult time telling you to do anything with this roster. For me, I do have Josh Downs ahead of Alec Manor with just rest of season rankings. But to be honest with you, man, your team's too good where it doesn't matter. I don't think you ever start either one of those players. Here's the only thing that you could possibly do with your roster is go out there and sell depth to get any marginal upgrade inside the starting lineup with how strong your team is. Now, if I was looking at how we are going to do that, it's probably going to hinge on the depth wide receivers. Now, for me, I don't think you can sell them until they come back, just because I think you're going to be taking a value loss. And because we're number one in the league in total points scored, we can currently afford to wait for Rashee Rice to come back. We can afford to wait for Chris Godwin to come back. So I actually think that we leave this team as is for now. But when you get Rice back in, when you get Godwin back in, I would probably then at that point look to try to send like Marv and Ashton Genty and get the best running back that we possibly can. Not that I don't like these players, but it's just going to be that the wide receiver production's going to be expendable for us at that point. Now, maybe if you wanted to go through and maybe if you wanted to look at selling like Godwin and Nico Collins just for like a true top tier wide receiver like CeeDee Lamb, that could be another option for you. But nonetheless, the only thing that you would possibly want to do with this team is wait until we eventually get back Rice, get back Godwin. And then at that point, we can go ahead and you can look in to make a trade. But for now, I think you're in a really good spot. I don't even necessarily see anything that we want to do when it comes to like waiver wire pivots either. But I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way with this. But in reality, you need to help me with my team, to be honest with you. I do not need to be helping you with yours. Now, let's move this over to our next one. This is going to be from Hookham Horn. Says, any moves you think we can make to improve the team? Okay, so we are currently number one in the league analyzer. However, we are 1-3. Now, if you're wondering how a team's 1-3, they have a game against the league median every week. They've scored 231 points, so they're third in the league with total points scored. So, weird that you're third in the league with total points scored, yet you are 1-3. That does seem weird. Looking at the roster quickly, I will say that there's a clear couple moves that I want to make. In my opinion, there's no reason to roster Kenneth Gainwell. Even if Jalen Warren were to get injured, there's no way in hell I'm ever putting Kenneth Gainwell into our starting lineup. So I would cut Kenneth Gainwell. I would pick up Dak Prescott instead. And then going over and looking at what we have with tight ends, Loveland's out there on the waiver wire for free. For me, I think that you do have a higher ceiling with Loveland hitting your lineup in comparison to what you have with Ollie Gordon. So I would probably go ahead and I would probably cut Ollie Gordon in favor of Loveland. So in general, like I completely understand, and I agree with the sentiment that most times we are wanting to roster as many backup running backs as we possibly can, but don't love the upside that you have to be the handcuff in the Steelers or Dolphins offense at the moment. So I would cut Gordon. I'd cut Gainwell. I'd pick up Dak Prescott, and I'd pick up Loveland. As I think quarterback Mahomes isn't good enough to say, hey, that this is my guy no matter what rest of season. He's good enough real life. I just think fantasy purposes, the situation's too bad. And then going over and looking at what we have at tight end with David Njoku. I mean, there's no way I want to be relying on Njoku rest of season when he's in the worst offense in the league. And it looks like he's possibly the second tight end on that offense. So, yeah, pick up those waiver wire moves. Then going over to running back, I mean, we have arguably one of the best running back rooms in this league. We have Gibbs. We have Bucky Irving. Phenomenal. We have Montgomery, Rashad White, Braylon as quality depth pieces. Like, running back's incredible. It's a league in which we can start 4 wide receivers weekly. So I like having the depth. We have JSN, incredible wide receiver 1, Marv, solid wide receiver 2. Sutton, wide receiver 3, Rome, wide receiver. Like, this is an incredible wide receiver, and this is an incredible team. I think that the main issue that you're going to have is quarterback, tight end. For that reason, I'd want to roster 2, but because it's a league in which you can start up to 4 wide receivers weekly, I think that we probably want to go ahead and we probably just want to roster the backup quarterback and the backup tight end there. But honestly, your team's great. I don't think we need to do anything else with it. I really appreciate you, my guy, and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. Now, let me just take a little bit of a break here. I know MX, really appreciate him and excited to check this out in a second. But let me go over and let's look at the start set questions, trade questions, and super messages real quick. I will say that if you have a voucher, like if you're an annual mother flocker with code FLOCK on the site, or you got the season pass with code FLOCK, you should have free start sit trade question vouchers. And I'd be happy to go through and get these answered for you. But obtainable trading Shaheed and Jawan Jennings for James Conner. Right now, running back, we have Hampton as our RB2. So I don't love James Conner in the long term. I do think that Trey Benson's going to continue to expand his role. But I would want to start James Conner in the short term, and I don't think Jennings and Shaheed are that relevant. So, yeah, I'm fine making this. And Max, I'm sorry, my guy. We'll get to that team review in just 1 second. I just wanted to we're going to go back and forth with these. Alpha was 10 years. This is Jalen Warren versus Keenan Allen. I have them ranked in a similar range. It's going to come down to your team. This team at wide receiver, we have Evans, Puka, and then like Addison, wide receiver 3, and we have a great running back room. So yeah, I think that these players are very comparable, and it's going to be up to your roster. But for you, your running back room, stronger than wide receiver, so I'm completely fine if you wanted to make this move. Now, Joey trading Cup for Trey Benson. I would rather have Trey Benson. Benson continued to expand his role in this offense. 44% of the snaps this past week is the highest mark that we've seen from him his entire NFL career. Now, maybe I'm very biased. Maybe we drafted Trey Benson a ton and faded James Conner all year, but I'm in on the Trey Benson experience. Now, Dave says, hey, Mason, hope this is my optimal lineup. So looking to offload Brian Thomas Jr. What are your thoughts? My guy, you play Brian Thomas Jr. here. And then if you wanted to sell someone, you look to go through and you look to tier. God, I'm assuming you meant to put Achane in there at running back, but yeah, like you could use a much better tight ends, but the fact of the matter is, to be honest with you, man, that you're not selling Brian Thomas right now, or at least I wouldn't sell Brian Thomas right now, as I don't know what you could reasonably get for Brian Thomas if you were to try to sell him. Okay. Now, this trade from Cold and Breesa is Brees versus Rome Odunze. I have Brees ranked over Rome at this point. Running back, you have Bijan, Henderson, Judkins, Shakori, Krosky, Merritt. Wide receiver, we have, like, yeah, you actually need a wide receiver so badly. I'm fine with you making this move. Like, again, I think in a vacuum for most teams, most leagues, give me Breece Hall, but for your team specifically, I would say that wide receiver is probably a little more important to go after than what you have with running back. Now, general for Lee with our next one. This is Kyron, Devontae Adams, Travis Hunter versus Trey Benson, James Conner, JSN. JSN's by far and away the best player in this deal. Give me James Conner over Travis Hunter. Give me JSN over Devontae Adams and Kyron Williams. To be honest, it's a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. Leftover at running back, you'd have CMC, JCM, and Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt. Wide receiver, we'd have JSN, Brian Thomas, George Pickens, Chris Godwin. Yeah, so honestly, I think here, 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. Give me the best player in the deal, which is JSN. Now, Evan H. Cook trading Henderson for Marv. I'm still a believer in Henderson in the long term. I still think that he's going to expand his role and be the running back 1 in New England. But yeah, at this point, I think you'd have to take Marv. But it looks like we're about to hit 200 likes on this live stream. So if you haven't already, go down there, drop a like on this stream, and we will send some free questions out in the live chat once we hit 200 likes. But BBSS, here running back, we're going to go ahead. We're going to play not the easiest scenario, to be honest with you, if we're going to be looking at the running backs here between Kyron, Pollard, ETN. Kyron has a really tough matchup. You're going up against the Eagles. You're not going to get usage as a receiver. We are seeing Blake Corum have some touches. I still go Kyron Williams. I'm not in love with it. And then down in the flex, it's going to be tough between Garrett Wilson and the running backs. Garrett Wilson would definitely be the wide receiver I'd be most excited about here. Looking at my flex rankings at the moment, I have Garrett Wilson at 38. I have Pollard 37. I have ETN 33. So I have ETN the highest mark. If it's with it being a full PBR league, if you want to go with the receiver, I'm not going to fault you for it though. But it does look like we just hit 200 likes on the stream. So if y'all wanted those free questions, all you got to do to win them is, again, drop a like on the live stream and drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. And we'll go ahead and we'll send out a couple of those free questions. We'll send out 3 people free questions every time we hit 100 likes on the stream. But Bradley, with our next one here for the flex, we're going to go ahead and we will take, dear God. F it. I'm going to go Trevion Henderson. I think Tyrone Tracy's lost his job. Trevion Henderson doesn't have his job, but he's in a better offense and he's a better running back. Now, Brett trading Hampton for ETN. Yeah, I'd rather have ETN at this point, even if I'm a Hampton believer. But let's go through and let's send out some of these free questions. We got Gnarls, a longtime member of the flock. Appreciate you hanging out with us, my guy. Let me see if I can find you on the site, which I'm sure I can. And I'm sure I can send you these free questions. Gnarls just found you and just sent you over that free start sit. Again, thank you so much for always hanging out with us. Thank you for sticking with me for so long. And appreciate you being out here with us tonight or today. We're streaming a little bit earlier today. I told the fiance that we could have a date night tonight, which is very rare during the football season. But I told her that I would start to behave a little bit more like a normal person, that I was still going to live stream every single day, but we can maybe do a date night every once in a while. So let's look at this. This is Go Long London. Go Long London just found you on the site and just sent you over that free start sit. Really appreciate you hanging out with us in this stream. And let's send this out to Tristan. Tristan just found you on the site and just sent you over that free start set. Thank you so much for hanging out with us as well. Okay, but let's keep running through this and we'll get back to the team reviews. But Brett with our next one starts it here at running back. We have, honestly, F it. I'm going to go Hampton over Ramondre. Honestly, the snaps have been very comparable. Like, if we're looking at Hampton versus Ramondre, I think actually Hampton's been playing a higher percentage of the snaps in Los Angeles. And I still believe that Hampton is the better running back. For the flex, I'm going to go with Chris Olave over Ramondre in a full PPR format. Again, maybe I'm just a hater, but I'm not a believer in Ramondre Stevenson. Now, Creamy Baby trading Ladd and Trey McBride for Malik Neighbors. Yeah, give me Neighbors at this point. It looks like Neighbors completely different tier. Bitter Hornet trading Troy Franklin and Harold Fannin for Matthew Golden. Tight end, you have Juwan Johnson. I'll say most people would probably rather have the Harold Fannin side of this, to be honest with you, man. But I think with all the injuries that we've had in Green Bay to Jaden Reed and now Tucker Kraft as well, don't get me wrong, I think Matthew Golden is intriguing here. Now, Mr. Serve is trading Jordan Mason for JMO. I need to move Jordan Mason ahead of Jamison Williams in my rankings because my gut reaction here is I'd rather have Jordan Mason in the majority of teams, in the majority of scenarios. Where do I have Jordan Mason rest of season? I haven't. Honestly, I'm going to be much higher on Jordan Mason than anybody else on the site. Who has Jordan Mason in the Flock League? I think the Fan does. I'm going to put Jordan Mason like RB22 in my rest of season ranks. I'm skyrocketing him up. And let me make sure in the overall rankings that he's ahead of JMO as well. Yeah, I think we just got to move the running backs up in this range. Jordan Mason's just a bell cow at this point. Okay. Yeah, I moved up Jordan Mason to 54 overall in our ranks. Looking at our team, though, we have Chase Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, and then going over to receiver, we have Evans, Pearsall, Metcalf. So you don't really need any of either position. I would say I'd rather have Jordan Mason, to be honest with you. And let me send a message. Or let me try to come up with an offer for Jordan Mason in the Flock League. Again, looking at where I'm at with him at this point, I am all in. Yeah, the Fan has him. I'm going to send an offer in my league. I'm going to offer Travis Etienne and Metcalf for Jordan Mason and Mike Evans. Let me think about this. Let me throw it in the trade calc real quick. I'm sorry. No, I'm getting distracted, but I like the idea of buying high on Jordan Mason right now. Okay, they receive Etienne and Metcalf. We receive Mason and Evans. Using the expert average rankings is going to tell us that we lose the deal. Using my rankings, it's going to say that it's a fair trade. So maybe we can get away with offering a little bit less. Instead of offering Metcalf, maybe we can get away with offering like Diggs or Judy. No, there's no way that gets accepted. Maybe instead of offering, here's what we're going to do. Go Pollard and Scat. I don't know. I'm just going to come strong with the offer for the Fan. Can you all spam the chat? What side would you rather have on this deal? Would you rather have Jordan Mason and Mike Evans, or would you rather have Travis Etienne and DK Metcalf? You got Mason. Yeah, looks like people are on the right-hand side. Okay, so I'm going to send that over. I'll let y'all know if it gets accepted. So I'm just triple checking that I'm sending this offer correctly. Okay. Done. And I will send him a message. Okay. And let's get back to y'all's questions. I need to stop worrying about my own fantasy team. Jaden Butts with our next one. Here, tight ends. I wish I had a time machine to tell you to start Kincaid. If it's Ertz or Jawan, I'd probably go Ertz. And then going over to the flex, honestly, I'm going to go Matthew Golden over like Jaden Higgins, Caleb Johnson, Najee Harris. If you're just looking at what's happened over the past few weeks, you'd obviously go with Jawan Johnson over Matthew Golden, but with all the injuries in Green Bay, I think they may not have an option but to get Matthew Golden involved. Big Mays trading Genty and Tet for J-Mo and Chase. Running back after this, we would have Hampton, Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt, and that's it. So there's no way in hell you can make this deal. Your running back room's not good enough. Now, Jake Cook trading JSN for Judkins and Tet. Yeah, I'd rather have JSN. I know it's a 14-team format. How down bad are you at running back? We have ETN, and that's it. Tracy just lost a job. So I think value-wise, you have to go JSN side. I completely understand that you're looking at the instance of a 14-team league, running back depth going to be harder to come by and going to be more valuable in general because of that. But I don't know. I think I have to go with JSN. Now, our next question coming out from Wise Investment, trading Travis Hunter for A.J. Brown. It's going to be a Dynasty League. Dynasty League, I'm not going to give up on Travis Hunter at this point. This is not like A.J. Brown even looks like he is somebody that's going to make a difference for you. It looks like you're still like in a really tough spot with him. So, give me the Travis Hunter end. If it was a redraft league, yeah, definitely give me A.J. Brown. I think that A.J. Brown's going to bounce back to a certain extent. But here in Dynasty, I have more faith with Hunter. Now, Amonsi, I'm going to go with Chris Olave here. This is labeled as a non-PPR league. If it really is a non-PPR format, Olave is less exciting because obviously it's just an absolute garbage offense. So in that instance, you would probably be wanting to go through and you'd probably want to you would want somebody in a better offense, but can I look at any of the players here and say like, oh yeah, they have a ton of upside? They have a ton of I know that Juwan Johnson's been scoring, but how long do we expect that to happen? So I'd rather have Olave. KB123 is trading Byshell Tootin, Zay Flowers, Jawan for Javonte, Myers, and Bowers. I have to be missing something here. Give me Bowers over like literally this entire side, and you get Javonte and Jacoby Myers for free. Very easily the Bowers into this. Tager, running back, you're going to go ahead and take Hampton over Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt this week. Wide receiver, give me Tet, and then down in the flex, I don't know if you can trust Igbuka. I think you may end up just playing Keenan Allen. Like if you're looking at Igbuka, he hasn't practiced at all, and he's still questionable for the game. Now, Asdral here, tight end, go Tyler Warren over Kraft. Looks like Kraft's probably not going to play. Running back, you go Swift over the rookies for the time being. And then there in the flex, you're going to go with Ladd McConkey. And I would still play Amari and Hampton over Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt. Where if you are looking at the usage of these two running backs, Hampton's been a bell cow, or he's been a three-down workhorse, essentially. He's averaging 70% of the snaps. Where Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt has just been hype. I definitely think he's going to get a lot better with the Austin Eckler injury. Don't get me wrong. Now, Oak 28 trading Judkins, Sutton for London and Kittle. Yeah, I don't know if I'm missing something here, but it's the Drake London side easily. London's a completely different tier than any of those names. Now, Peanuts trading Dobbins for A.J. Brown. I don't know what I'm missing, but this is the A.J. Brown side really easily. Synthosaur says, start Browning or Wentz or pick up Mariota. I would go with... So here's the thing. They play against each other. Vikings are favored in this game. But I'm going to go Browning. Let's go through and look at this. We go back to see Browning in 2023. He did get you like 15 rushing yards a game. He had a rushing touchdown, and you have the combination of Chase and Higgins. And it's going to be a team that probably has to come from behind as well. So give me Jake Browning here. Definitely not going to go with Mariota. Actually, Mariota may not even be a bad play. What the hell am I talking about? Okay. Sammy says, taking a break from questions to send out offers. Yes, sir. Now, I'll show you what the offer is in the trade calculator on the site, my friend. And let me see. We're going to actually have to get back to team reviews in 1 second. We're going to get this team review for MX. This will be the next one. But, Sammy, if you throw that trade in the site, you'll see that the other creators think you win. However, I had it as a fair deal with my rankings because I just moved Jordan Mason up dramatically. What was it? Jordan Mason and Evans versus ETN and Metcalf. Look at this. Says I lose, but I'm going to go against the grain on this one. I'll let them roast me. Using my rankings, it says it's a fair deal. So, Sammy, let me know if we got it. Okay. Says, to get a team review, do I get the season pass or pay the $79? I would not recommend anybody paying $79 for a team review, to be honest with you. If you wanted a team review and you were going to pay $79, it's a much better deal to just be an annual mother flocker on the site and use code FLOCK, and then you'll get a free team review, you'll get a free start sit question, you'll get a free trade question, and you'll get access to the site 365 days a year. And it's like just an extra $15. But let's move this over. And yeah, let me just say this real quick. Oscar says, hey, Mason, I'm trying to send a start set question, but it's not letting me choose you as a creator to send it to. Yes, so right now we're backed up on questions. So the only questions that can get sent in, start, sit, and trade-wise are from the vouchers, the annual mother flockers, or the people with the season pass, or what's it called? People who win them for free in the live chat. Now, MX says, Saquon was a keeper. Need to upgrade my wide receivers, but trading away either of my running backs seems counterproductive. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. We are currently 5th in the league analyzer in value. However, we are 1st in this league with our record and 1st in this league with total points scored. It is a 12-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. So the depth isn't going to matter too much here. Quarterback, we have Drake May. So I would say in general, I would rather have a better quarterback than this if we can get one. Going through and looking at what we have here on the waiver wire, we have Michael Penix, Trevor Lawrence, Matthew Stafford, Geno Smith. I wouldn't mind actually rostering a second quarterback here with Michael Penix because it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. And realistically, I don't see like how Dontavian Wicks ever turns into a consistent league winner for you here. I think that he's probably an interesting best ball play. But I would drop Dontavian Wicks and I'd pick up Michael Penix from the waiver wire. Running back, we have Barkley and Derrick Henry as automatic jams every week. Then we have Judkins as a quality running back 3 depth piece. Trey Benson, quality running back 4. Really like the running back room. Wide receiver, we have Marv, Rome, Igbuka as our top 3 names. So we're weak at wide receiver 1, but we're strong at wide receiver 2 and 3. We have quality depth with Diggs, Ayuk, Franklin. And then going over to tight end, we have Kittle and Juwan Jennings. So we have Kittle in the long term. We have Juwan Jennings in the short term. This seems completely fine. Like, if I were to look at what we would be doing with this roster, it's definitely not selling one of the running backs for a wide receiver because it's a league where you can only start 3 wide receivers at the very most. So I really like building around the top end running backs. Like I said, I think the wide receiver depth doesn't matter much here. So I dropped Dontavian Wicks. I pick him another quarterback. I think in other scenarios, if you were like 0-2, I would say, man, you probably got to go through and you got to trade Kittle to get something in your starting lineup now. But that's not necessarily the spot here, because if we're looking at your team, you're 2-0, number one in the league. So, like, we can just kind of wait on George Kittle. We can just kind of wait on Brandon Ayuk. Like, the wide receiver room probably is going to get better as time goes on, because obviously Diggs will be expanding his snap count. Brandon Ayuk will get healthy at some point. So maybe eventually you can actually look to sell a wide receiver like Igbuka with May and try to get yourself an elite quarterback. But I don't think you can afford that trade just yet, because we are waiting for Judkins, Diggs, Ayuk to all get better and Kittle to get better as time goes on. So for now, I think you have a great team. You're number one in this league for a reason. I think the only thing that you're probably going to do is you're probably going to go ahead, drop Dontavian Wicks, pick up another quarterback. But let me send you over some free questions just in case there's anything else that you want to follow up with here. But I think you have a great team. And I think for your league settings, you're just in a good spot and you just want to wait for these guys to eventually come back. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. Okay. Now let's move this over to our next question here. This one's going to be from Jack H. Says, league uses NFL fantasy, so I put it in ESPN. That is hilarious, my guy. Currently 1-1, would like to get a better quarterback, but would have to overpay to get one. Hurts player would want Nico and Taylor for Jalen Hurts. Okay, so you're telling me that our league is crazy with how they value quarterbacks. Our league is how people used to play fantasy football 10 years ago, where they just valued quarterback higher than any other position. Feel good with trading Nico, just not Taylor. Like my team, curious on what you would do. Appreciate you. Appreciate you as well, my guy. Looking at our team, we are currently number one in the league analyzer. Now, because we had to import this over, we don't necessarily have our exact record in points for, but I'm going to assume that it's pretty damn high, and I think that's a safe assumption to have. The reason being is we have Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, Kamara. Like, I understand, while yes, maybe Nico Collins has been disappointing, everybody else here has been phenomenal. So, like, going through and looking at this, you already know, yeah, quarterback's going to be the main thing that we point out here, where it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, where you are just absolutely loaded across the board, where we are by far and away the best team in this league. We have Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, Nico Collins, Tet McMillan, all on the same team. Travis Etienne's our running back 4. Trevion Henderson's our RB5. So no matter what, like, what we want to do is we want to be making a 2-for-1 deal where we try to sell a starting running back to go get an upgrade elsewhere. Like, realistically, I would say that quarterback's plan A, but again, we can be flexible with this, where if you're telling me your league mates are just crazy with how they value the QBs, I'll be completely okay with you, instead of going out there for the elite quarterback, going and getting an elite tight end or getting an elite receiver. Let's go and find the teams that need help at running back. This team has Jordan Mason, James Conner, RGRV, Caleb Johnson as their top RBs. Can we send them Alvin Kamara and George Kittle for Trey McBride? Travis Etienne and Kittle for McBride? Could we send them Alvin Kamara and Tet McMillan for Jefferson? Can we send them Travis Etienne and Tet McMillan for Jefferson? Can we send them Travis Etienne and Nico Collins for Malik Neighbors? Like, your running back room is so good that you have so many possible moves. This team has Kyron, Brees, and Scat. They have Lamar at quarterback. So again, I mean, I'm going to offer them like the combo of Drake May and Alvin Kamara for Lamar Jackson. And your team is good enough, to be honest with you, that if you traded Jonathan Taylor and Drake May for Lamar, I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world. Travis Etienne's your running back 4 and Trevion Henderson's your RB5. Looking at a trade for Puka Nacua, maybe Kamara and Nico Collins for Puka. ETN and Nico Collins for Puka. ETN and Tet for Jackson Smith and Jigba. Kamara and Tet for JSN. Your team is by far and away the best team in this league. The only thing for you to do is go through and try to send one of those running backs and quote unquote overpay for either the elite tight end, an elite wide receiver, or just upgrade at another position because Ja'Cory Crosby merits our running back 6. And we have Barkley, Jonathan Taylor as our top 2 names. So you can frankly just afford to go out there and upgrade at other positions. But I really appreciate you and really do hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. Now let's move this over to Nemo. It says, in a league with full PPR and I'm behind on points currently. Looking to make some trades to trade Williams and other receivers to get better running backs. How should we go about constructing the team? So here's the thing. It's a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. So wide receiver depth's not going to matter. We're currently 8th in this league in terms of total value. In terms of our total points scored, we're last. So we are in a rough spot. Again, wide receiver depth's not going to matter. It's a 10-team league where you start 2 receivers in a flex. Now, I think that as we just skim through this quickly, the first thing that I would say here pretty easily is I would go ahead and I would cut Dylan Sampson and I would go instead pick up Rachaad White. Archie, if you didn't get the free team review for getting the Mother Flocker, it means you need to attach code FLOCK to your account. So real quick, for anybody who's watching this, if you're going to get the season pass or the Mother Flocker package for the purpose of sending me a free team review or sending me free trade start sit questions, use code FLOCK when you set up your account. That way those free questions get attached to me. If you don't use code FLOCK, then they won't get attached to me. Now, it's not too late. You can go to your account page if you didn't use a code and you can add code FLOCK there. And I would just send an email to support@flockfantasy.com. And then Sammy will go ahead and he'll make sure you get set up with your vouchers. Okay. Now, anyway, here, going back to this, it's a league in which you only start 2 wide receivers in a flex, right? So quarterback going to matter a ton, running back going to matter a ton, wide receiver depth, not so much. Looking at what we have when it comes to quarterback, we just lost Burrow, so we're screwed. We have we had Joe Burrow and Jared Goff. I would say at this point, Jared Goff is probably a QB that is not good enough to be our only quarterback rostered. I'm going to assume that Joe Burrow's on the IR, not taking up an actual roster spot. If he's on your bench taking up a roster spot, I would cut Joe Burrow and I'd pick up Daniel Jones. And it's tough because the Tucker Kraft injury means we can't cut Mark Andrews. Because again, kind of no matter what, I want to go through and I want to make sure that we cut Dylan Sampson in favor of Rachaad White. Looking at wide receiver, I personally would cut Troy Franklin for Josh Downs. And looking at tight end, honestly, based off how bad Mark Andrews has been, where the Ravens have gone nuclear and Andrews hasn't done anything. The dude has 7 receiving yards on the season. I would probably go ahead. I would cut Mark Andrews, but we're going to need to pick up another tight end. I would pick up probably Dallas Goedert. I think Goddard just got removed from the injury report. And week 1, we actually saw him with 7 targets, 7 receptions. In this game against the Rams, potentially, you actually have the Philadelphia Eagles having to throw the ball. So, cut Andrews, pick up Goddard, cut Franklin, pick up Downs, cut Sampson, pick up Rachaad White, and I would consider cutting I would cut Joe Burrow if he's on your bench for Daniel Jones, but obviously you're not able to do that if you have an IR slot and he's on your IR. Now, looking at what we have with running back, we have Kyron, Chuba, Kenneth Walker. So based off the injury that we just got to Zach Charbonnet, I'm going to move Kenneth Walker up my rest of season ranks. move them up the weekly ranks as well. Like my weekly rankings, we probably actually moved Kenneth Walker up to like RB9 right behind Derrick Henry. And then the rest of season, obviously, I'm not assuming that Kenneth Walker is going to be, Zach Charbonnet is going to miss the rest of the year. But again, we don't know how long this injury is going to linger. I'm going to move Kenneth Walker up to RB15. But anyway, I think running back here, we're fine. We just don't have the top end production. Wide receiver, we have Jefferson, Nico, J-Mo, Juwan Jennings. So I would be in 100% agreement with you. If we're able to make a trade with this team, it's us sending Jamison Williams and Kyron Williams for the best running back we can get in return. Is there a world in which we're able to send Jamison Williams and Kyron, and in return, we get back like Ashton Genty? Actually, I would maybe even try to go higher than that. I would go for Josh Jacobs, Buck Irving, Achane, James Cook, Derrick Henry first. See if we get any bites there. If we don't get bites there, then you down tier and you instead look at Ashton Genty, Chase Brown. Because Juwan Jennings, you're not going to be able to sell for anything. Nobody's going to give you anything at all for him. But you realistically could start him if we were desperate at wide receiver. And wide receiver is kind of easy to come by as well, just given the fact that you have great names on the waiver wire like Josh Downs. So I think you make those 4 waiver wire cuts. I'm in agreement with the kind of trade that we want to make. If nobody's interested in Kyron, then you try to sell J-Mo and Chuba Hubbard for a running back upgrade that way. But regardless, that would be the center of the trade that we want to make. Let me send you over some free vouchers just in case there's anything else that you want to follow up with this team. Now, let's move this over to our next team review. This is going to be Corrupt Roundabouts. I'm not sure what to do, but I feel like we should trade for better flex options. So we are Amon Drugs. We are the 4th team in the league analyzer. Let me send you over the free questions before I forget. And I will say the first thing that I see will be players that are worth picking up from waivers. Here, running back Byshell Tuden, for sure worth the roster spot at this point. I would go ahead. I would cut Kayshon Boutte, who only had 1 target this past week. Now, yes, that 1 target went for a touchdown. Now, yes, it was a highlight grab, and he looked phenomenal while doing it. But still, I would cut Boutte, and I would pick up Tuden. Then looking at what else we could consider, I would consider picking up Jake Ferguson. This is a league in which you can start 4 wide receivers weekly, but Jalen Waddle's our wide receiver 5. So it's not necessarily a spot in which like we're struggling for wide receiver depth. So I'd be completely fine if you wanted to go through and if you wanted to cut like Troy Franklin for Jake Ferg. So cut Boutte, cut Franklin. We don't need this many wide receivers on our roster. Pick up Byshell Tuden, pick up Jake Ferguson, and then you can play the matchups with Kyle Pitts and Jake Ferguson going into the future. And at the same time, if we were looking at what we have with Byshell Tuden, he just adds a very high upside running back down to the bench that we can play if we get desperate with a lack of depth. But more likely than not, you're more so just going to be looking at him as the elite handcuff, or if anything were to occur to Travis Etienne, obviously he is just an auto jam. Now, let's move over to position by position here. Quarterback, we have Bo Nix. I would also be interested if you didn't want to pick up like Ferg. If you love Kyle Pitts, you can go for Brock Purdy instead. Because if Bo Nix is our QB, well, don't get me wrong. He's not like a bad QB1. He's not Lamar. He's not he's not Josh Allen. Like, realistically speaking, I would be okay with rostering 2 QBs. Like, you could see yourself starting Brock Purdy over Bo, depending on the matchup. Then looking at what we have at running back, we have Achane, we have Brees, completely fine. Judkins RB3, solid. We don't really need Mixon here, so fine there. Wide receiver, St. Brown, wide receiver 1, great. JSN, wide receiver 2, great. I need to just go ahead and throw in the towel. I drafted a ton of Devonta Smith in underdog drafts this year, but looking at your team, looking at this, I'm like, you know what? Jacoby Myers is really our wide receiver 3. I need to move Jacoby Myers up our rankings even more. We're going to move Myers up ahead of both Travis Hunter and Devonta Smith. Myers, wide receiver 3, great. Devonta Smith, wide receiver 4, great. Waddle, wide receiver 5, that's great. And again, it's a league which wide receiver depth matters. You can start 4 of these guys weekly. So for that reason, I don't think you should go out there and trade for a better quarterback. I don't think you should sell a wide receiver for a better tight end. But I don't think you make any trades. I think you cut the bottom end wide receivers. Your flex options are fine, my guy. I understand that maybe Devonta Smith's been disappointing, but have him in your second flex in a full PPR format, it's okay. Jacoby in your flex is great. You have 2 solid running backs. I would just cut Booty. I'd cut Franklin. I'd pick up Byshell Tootin, and I'd pick up Jake Ferguson. But again, really do appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way. And let me make sure that we sent you over those free questions, but we just did. So we're good. So it looks like we just hit 400 likes on the stream. So let's go ahead and let's give away some more free questions in the chat. And again, all you got to do to get these free questions will be drop a like on the stream and then go ahead and drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat and you can qualify for those free questions. And let me pull that up on our other screen to make sure that we can send those over. We're going to send 3 people free questions real quick. Okay. And yeah, it looks like y'all are getting your messages in the chat. Perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and we got Master and Commander. Let's send you over a free question. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with us in this live stream. Master and Commander. Just found you and just sent you over that free start set. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with us in the stream. Let's go DJ Coda. DJ Coda. Just found you. Just sent you over that free start sit. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We got Please Quit. Just found you and just sent you over that free start sit as well. Thank you for hanging out with us in this stream. But now we can go ahead, pull back up the teams, and let's keep rolling, ladies and gentlemen, because we got a bunch to get through. Now, political follower going to be our next one. So should I just sit back and watch how my team does, or trade Terry and Javonte to up tier at wide receiver, running back? Let me send you over a couple free questions here before I forget, my friend. This is Austrian Painters. We are currently 3rd in the league analyzer with value. We're also 3rd in the league analyzer as well with total fantasy points scored. We're 1-1, so we're not in a desperation spot. It's a league in which you can start 4 wide receivers weekly. So if you can start 4 receivers weekly, I mean, obviously we're not sitting here and we're not like scrambling to sell any depth at the wide receiver position for an upgrade anywhere else on the lineup, right? We can build around these wide receiver options, no problem. Now, looking at what we have with quarterback, we have Herbert, we have Love. So, completely solid. Obviously, really excited to be sitting here with Justin Herbert with how well he's played through the first 2 weeks. The Chargers are #1 with their passing rate over expectation. Justin Herbert's averaging like 23 points per game. And he's giving you a baseline floor running the ball as well. He's currently at like, 63 rushing yards so far through 10 games, averaging 8 carries a game. Going over and looking at running back, we have Genty, Javonte, Judkins, Byshell, Tootin, Spears. So it's nice that we have Judkins coming through with like some viability, because it looked like maybe we weren't going to get that. And we did need a wide receiver, a running back 3 here. Wide receiver, we have Puka Nacua, we have A.J. Brown, we have Rome Odunze, wide receiver 3, Terry McLaurin, wide receiver 4. Looking down here at the bottom end, I do have Luther Burden ranked over Dontavian Wicks for the long term, but I understand here in the short term, with all the injuries that we have to the Packers options, you can say that like Dontavian Wicks has the path to playing where Luther Burden currently doesn't. Tight end, we have Jake Ferg. We have Loveland. Like, I don't want to tell you that you need to cut Isaiah Likely, because the thing is, like, who are you going to pick up? It's not like Likely's that exciting at this point. I'm sorry. I'm stalling. I'm trying to come up with anything for this team. If this was a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, I'd for sure want to go through and I'd for sure want to try to sell like Rome Odunze in a 2-for-1 deal with Jake Ferguson to try to get to an elite tight end. But because we can start 4 wide receivers here weekly, that depth's actually going to be important to hold on to. So I really like the way that your team's constructed. So to be honest, we're top 3 in the league with points. We're top 3 in the league with the league analyzer. So I think we're probably going to go ahead and leave this as is, to be honest with you. I'm trying to use... I would like to pick up Braylon Allen. Like, maybe we drop Dontavian Wicks and we pick up Braylon. Because if Breece were to get injured, I think Braylon Allen could be an auto lock for our lineup, the way that I don't know if Dontavian Wicks ever can be, even with the injuries to the other players in Green Bay currently. But I think that's all I got for you. I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way. But I actually love your team for this format in particular. Your format is one that incentivizes wide receiver, and we're sitting here with 4 great ones. Now, Unga Lord, I believe we've already checked out a team for you, but excited to see another one. I could be wrong here. Let's send over some free questions real quick. Says, I feel light on running back 2 and wide receiver 3. Appreciate any advice you can give and trade suggestions or overall quality of the team. We are Owens stiff competition. We are currently the number 1 team in the league analyzer. And let's see where we're at in terms of points. We are actually in the middle of the league in terms of total points scored, but we are 1-1 as well. So looking at what we have with value going into the future, we are 5th in the league at quarterback, 4th at running back, 5th at wide receiver, and 1st at tight end. So across the board, we're in a really good spot, you want to say. Looking at Kyler and Daniel Jones, 2 solid quarterbacks that we're able to play the matchups with weekly. Looking at what we have at running back, Jonathan Taylor, Trevion Henderson, Jordan Mason. Like Jordan Mason becoming a absolute lock for your starting lineup. Honestly, kind of saves us here. Because Trevion, you have Pollard RB4. You're phenomenal. But hell, we're putting Pollard in the flex spot anyway. We're starting Taylor, Jordan Mason, Pollard. Wide receiver, we have Lamb Smith. We have like Diggs in our other flex spot. And then we have the elite tight end with McBride. I would cut Tank Bigsby and I would cut Marvin Mims. I would pick up the combo of Tyler Algier and Brian Robinson, or Tyler Algier and Caleb Johnson. Definitely, I think you need to pick up Tyler Algier and cut Marvin Mims at the very least. I don't know in what world you could ever get Marvin Mims in your starting lineup and feel confident about it. I think he's definitely more so a best ball option. So cut Mims, pick up Algier. The league analyzer loves us with long-term value because in the long term, Trevion's going to become an absolute hammer for us to put in at a flex. Diggs is going to continue to get better as well as they allow him to play more and more snaps being removed from the torn ACL. I think Devonta Smith's going to be better in the future than what he has been. You're just going to need some passing volume here. It's a league in which you can start up to 4 wide receivers weekly. So typically I would say the elite level tight end is not going to be as important. So I don't want to give up on our wide receivers yet, but wide receivers are going to matter so much, right? To the point where I would say that potentially if like Devonta Smith falls flat again, right? Where we go through week 3 and it's like, hey, you know what? I really can't trust any wide receiver not named CeeDee Lamb. Then it will get to a point where you could look at trading Trey McBride to get to a wide receiver like Nico Collins. If Brian Thomas has an okay week 3 performance, maybe you look at Brian Thomas, where maybe that's the way that we go through and we upgrade wide receiver. Because again, when we have the multitude of flex spots here, that wide receiver depth is going to be very important. But that's not necessarily something that we need to be doing right now. But trying to think if is there anything else that we could say with this team? I think it's fine because I believe in Devonta Smith still. If you didn't believe in Smith, then maybe at that point you would need to go through and you would need to do what you could to upgrade wide receiver right this second. But I think you gave yourself a little bit of hope. And then Jordan Mason coming in to be the 3-down bell cow is going to make sure that you win right now. You should not feel light on running back 2 whatsoever. I agree that wide receiver depth is the worst thing about your team here, but I think it's going to get a hell of a lot better going into the future. But I really do appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. And let me make sure, I sent you over those free questions just in case there is anything that you want to follow up with. But at the very minimum, cut Marvin Mims for Tyler Algier. And I would also consider cutting Keon Coleman for Brian Robinson too. Okay. Now let's hit next question. I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull up some of the quick questions. These are going to be the start sit, the trades instead of the team reviews. And we'll get back to the team reviews in a second, but we got a lot of start sit and trades we got to get through. Now, cool kid with this start sit question. Wide receiver, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to play Olave over Igbuka. Don't know if we can trust Igbuka at this point. Now, if he does play, we're to put him in there in the flex. Our backup option will be Xavier Worthy if Worthy plays. Our plan C will be Trevion Henderson if neither one of those players play. But our plan A is going to be Igbuka there in the flex. Now, cool kid with a different starting lineup for us to look at. This is going to be really between Javonte or Travis Etienne. I wouldn't really consider anybody else here for the flex. If you would have asked me earlier in the week, I think I would have maybe said for us to go ahead and for us to take Etienne, but maybe I'm just a little bit biased because I have Etienne on my own team. Looking at how good the game environment should be for Dallas and Chicago, I think realistically the actual play for you is going to be going through and taking Javonte Williams. But this is an incredible roster. Quarter 6, if we were wanting to get anybody out of the lineup, it would be Amari and Hampton. And if you were going to put anybody in, it would be one of the Niners wide receivers. Full PBR format, if you wanted to go with one of the Niners wide receivers over Hampton, I'm not going to fault you whatsoever. Now, for me personally, I'm not giving up on Hampton. I still think Hampton has a lot of upside. I do have Ricky Pearsall ranked ahead of him this week, though, but obviously I prefer Hampton long-term. Now, Zecker Trekker here. For the flex, we have Kayshon Boutte in at the moment. While I understand that he has been a quality play so far this season, week 1, he was great. Week 2, he came through with a touchdown as well. Week 2, the man had 1 target. So I'm really not that interested in playing Kayshon Boutte this week. Like, I know it's crazy to say, but I would rather play Trevion. Trevion hasn't had a ton of opportunities either, but he's had 8 targets so far this season. And I'm going to assume that Trevion continues to get better as well. Okay. So let's go ahead to our next question here. This is from Not Oliver. Running back, I think you have to go Dobbins over Pacheco and Judkins. Judkins looks like he is going to be the starting back for the Browns. But the issue that you're going to have with Judkins is this is the worst offense in the league, potentially going up against the best defense in the league. Tight ends, plan A is Kraft if he plays. Plan B is likely if he plays. And plan C, the absolute worst thing in the world, would be freaking Mark Andrews, who's just a certified bum at this point. And then looking at our flex, I would rather play Quentin Johnston or Michael Pittman over Isaiah Pacheco. Again, I really have no interest in playing Pacheco if we can avoid it. I'm thinking. I'd still probably go with Michael Pittman Jr. over Quentin Johnston, especially as we had Josh Downs and Tyler Warren on the injury reports earlier this week. Okay. Now let's move this over to our next question. This is CJSFW, Javonte and Addison versus Scat and Evans. I think Evans is the best player in the deal. It's a 14-team format. It's a start 6. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a league where you only have to start 1 running back. If it's a league you only have to start 1 running back, give me Evans easily. If it's a normal format, I still may go Evans. Like, I'm more confident. I think the best asset on the Javonte side is Javonte. The best asset on the Evans side is Mike Evans. And based on the long track record, the large sample size that we have, I think we have reasons to believe that Mike Evans is a safer option to bet on than Javonte Williams. Now, Jason with our next question. Running back between Chase Brown and Javonte, definitely a lot closer than I gave it credit for at the beginning of the week. If you'd have asked me at the beginning of the week, I would have told you it was Chase Brown easily. But now I have them ranked back-to-back in our flex ranks. I'm assuming that we're just going to go through. Yeah, we're going to play both of them. Play Javonte and play Chase Brown down there in the flex. And then we'll bench Chuba and DJ Moore. Now, Beto99, always happy to see you. Running back, we're going to go James Cook and Gibbs. Wide receiver, Lamb and Roma Dunze. Love that game environment. Tight end, we have Tyler Warren. And then for the flexes, Quentin Johnston and Ricky Pearsall will probably be the plays. And I honestly think I would go with both those wide receivers over Xavier Worthy, even if Worthy plays. Just because, again, I'm so nervous about Worthy that I wouldn't want to play him until we actually see him out there. Okay. Now, Phoenix Lance with our next one. Trading, and of course, if y'all don't know, Phoenix Lance, long time member of the flock. Always appreciate him being out here with us. We're going Jalen Warren, Egbuka, and Jawan for ETN and Higgins. Give me Higgins over Jalen Warren. Give me Etienne over Igbuka. I don't think Juwan Johnson's that valuable here. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the Travis Etienne and T. Higgins side. Now, Brandon says, need help deciding my flexes. In a tough spot to have to start Ward this week. Appreciate that. Appreciate you, my guy. I would let me send you over some more free questions, just in case you have another team you want us to look at. I wouldn't fault you at all if you wanted to pick up like Mariota and play Mariota over Ward. Looking at what we have at wide receiver, I think we're going to go with the combo of Marv and Igbuka, assuming Igbuka plays. Tight end, I'm going to go Juwan over Hawkinson. For the flex, Jordan Mason's an absolute auto lock. And then it's going to come down between like Jalen Warren and the receivers. I think you go Jalen Warren. And then if Igbuka does not play here at wide receiver, you probably play DJ Moore instead. Now, Austin with our next question. Quarterback, give me Bo Nix over Daniels. Daniels going to miss this week. Running back, give me Ginty and Kamara as auto starts still. Tight end, give me Bowers. And then here for the flex, Brian Thomas versus Chuba Hubbard. It's not a super easy call, to be honest. Like, again, my default is, I see Brian Thomas as a guy that you probably took in round 1 or round 2. I want to say that he is an immediate start. We don't have to think twice about it, but obviously he has just been so damn disappointing. Oh, dear God. I still probably go Brian Thomas. Offense is going to be better. He's had 19 opportunities so far this season. While I understand he's dropping the ball, while I understand he looks horrible, I think that based off what we saw with him as a rookie, I have a hard time to believe he's bad at football just after 2 weeks. Okay. Now, moving over to our next one, this is Kaka Zoos. Here, running back, give me Hampton easily over the other rookies. Hampton's like the only running back that we've seen out of this list that's actually had the consistent work, that's had the consistent snaps. Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt probably going to be a lot better with no Eckler this week. But still. Okay. Let's move this over to our next question. This is Jovia Alex. Here, quarterback, super flex league. So it looks like you're going to go Stroud. I'm going to go Stroud for sure over any of these skill positional options. We're going to go Swift for one flex spot. And I'm going to go T. Higgins over Terry Keenan effectively. Keenan running hot on touchdowns. Terry's been Terry's been worse than T. Higgins so far this season. And then obviously and with both quarterbacks, you have their backups in. Now, Bitter Hornet says, or should I trade Higgins for ETN? I would do either deal. Either one, give me the running back. I would love to trade Igbuka for Kamara, don't get me wrong, but if you need a running back, I'm fine trading Higgins for ETN. I'm fine trading Igbuka for Kamara. Either one's good. Assuming, obviously, this is a redraft league, not dynasty. C. Fetty trading Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt and Igbuka for Henderson and Marv. I'd rather have Marv over Igbuka, and I'd rather have Henderson over JCM. So, yeah, I'd make this deal. Now, Ryan with our next one. We have Travis Hunter currently on the bench. That would be the best name to get inside the lineup. And there is no way in hell I am starting Travis Hunter over Devonta Smith, Travis Etienne, Chris Olave, or Ladd McConkey. So we're going to leave this as is. Now, great to Braun here for the flex. We're looking at, oh dear God, we have some great options. Is this really all you need to start? I'm assuming we need to start another receiver now. Which if we do, I would tell you, you probably want to start Brian Thomas as your wide receiver 2. And then if you needed a 1 flex spot, I'd go Ladd. And if you needed 2 flex spots, I'd go Ladd and Pollard. But if it was just this, we're going to go Brian Thomas. But I'm assuming you meant to include the other spots as well. Now, jam running back, we're going to go with Chase Brown, Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker in auto start with no Sharp. He's going to crush. And then over there at running back, I'm going to go with Pollard. Pollard's been at the top of the league with his snap rate so far this season with no Spears. He's gone 88% and 89% of the snaps the past 2 weeks. Now, Will with the start sit says, do you think Kelsey's a viable flex rest of season? No. Oh, it's a tight end premium format. Never mind. Devonta Smith in tight end premium. Yeah, you probably go Kelsey and Diggs. So deeper league, tight end premium league. Yes, I think Kelsey's a viable flex, at least until Rashee Rice gets back. But I would say that it's probably tough for me to come through and probably tough for me to tell you, like, once Rice and Worthy are good to go, Kelsey's going to get the consistent target volume. Bitter Hornet, always happy to see us. As a small trade, Franklin and Fannin for Aoman or no. I'd rather have Fannin easily here. I'm not even a Fannin guy, but I think you're moving laterally at wide receiver and you're just paying a tight end for nothing. Now, Dede Nafis, here running back. Kenneth Walker, auto start with no Sharps. We're going to go Wilson, and then I'm going to go Pickens over Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt in the flex. Again, with all these rookies, I would say what we've said since the beginning of the season, you don't get extra points for starting them on their breakout. And that applies with Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt at the moment. Like, you're not going to get extra points for starting Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt the game that he breaks out. Okay. Now moving to our next question. Trainer says, running back 2 hurting, or do we try to trade for 1 or thug it out? Here, Judkins is a starter. Fannin Pitts is actually tough. I think Fannon's maybe the better play long term, but the offense is just horrendous this week, especially if we're playing Judkins. I don't want 2 Browns. Play Pitts. And yeah, who else? I mean, who could you trade for a better running back? I think you just got to send up a prayer that one of these rookies breaks out soon. I think it looks like Judkins has the role. I think Judkins has a bunch of talent as well. The issue that you're going to have again this week is the fact that you have to go up against arguably the best defense in the NFL. Matt Pandemonious coming through. Here for the flex, give me Sutton and probably Devonta Smith. Yeah, full PPR format. I'll play Smith over Jennings with no Purdy. I'll play Smith over Judkins and Scat. Even if it looks like they're taking over as the starting running backs in their respective backfields, it's not a guarantee yet. And at the same time, I mean, they're both in garbage offenses, so what's really the upside? I hope I'm wrong. I have Judkins in a bunch of underdog best ball drafts. And at the same time, like, I have Scatterbo in the Flock League. I hope he takes over and looks like a must-start running back every single week going into the future, but I'm not starting him yet. Now, Tony 2 time with our next one. Running back Jordan Mason and Kenneth Walker are both auto starts. Jam them in. I'd play both over Chase Brown this week. And then tight end between Hawk and Ertz. I'm going to go Ertz. Both tight ends get a quarterback change. One of the tight ends has been viable so far this year, where the other one's just been horrendous. I am probably, I need to figure this out. What are the underdog projections on Hawkinson versus Goddard? Because I need to figure out for my own lineup, can I bench Hawkinson this week for Dallas Goddard? I would definitely, if I had Ertz, I'd definitely bench him for Ertz. But sadly, Goddard's the tight end that I freaking have is the other option. Dallas Goddard, they have higher lower 31.5 total yards, which Hawk hasn't come close to. Hawk, they have higher lower 35.5. They have Hawk higher lower 7.15 points. Goddard, they don't even know points line up, do they? No. Now, Dunny with our next question. Trading Harvey for Calvin Ridley. I would rather have Harvey here. Like, I understand the thought, unless you're like 0-2. If you're 0-2 and you're like, man, I need somebody to put in my lineup, then sure, like, I'd rather start Calvin Ridley this week over RJ Harvey. But are we expecting Calvin Ridley to get better as time goes on? I don't know about that. So we'll go with the Harvey side. Now let's refresh and get some more questions going. Now, Combat says, JD's down, Mariota or Wentz. I like them week 3. This is a good question. Can you all spam the chat? Would you have Marcus Mariota or Carson Wentz? You would want to say like, oh, Mariota has rushing upside, but Mariota's so old that he probably doesn't anymore. Back in the day, Mariota gave you a rushing floor. Trying to think. You got Mariota, Wentz, Mariota, Wentz, Mariota. It looks like it's split, man. I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea. Let me see if Underdog has picks up on them. I know I know they project score a similar amount of points. Wentz is a great matchup against the Bengals. Underdog, he is higher, lower, like, what? 14.85 points. What's Mariota? I guess they have Mariota higher, lower 30.5 rushing yards. So they are projecting Mariota to actually run. So in that case, you probably go with Marcus. Now, Jordan trading Trey Benson and Genty for DeAndre Swift and Bowers. It's a dynasty trade, I believe. If I'm a contender, probably give me the Swift side. If I'm a rebuilder, give me the Benson side. Schoolboy coming through. Quarterback. Give me Jalen Hurts over Love. Running back, I'm assuming you already started James Cook. We'll go with Jacobs as the other play. Wide receiver, Lamb, Sutton, and Smith will be the easy plays over Golden. Tight end, give me Harold Fandon over the Baltimore players. And then for the flex, Dobbins, Ramadre, and Judkins, not the easiest call. Judkins should be the starting running back this week for the Browns, but the matchup's horrendous. So I'll probably just go ahead and play Dobbins, where Dobbins has been operating as the lead back here in Denver. Now, Troy Gonzalez trading Jalen Warren and Ladd for Drake London. Yeah. If you don't need another running back, I'm fine with it. You know what? Jeremy McNichols will be your running back 3 after this. So for the time being, I think you have to hold on to Jalen Warren. And your league's one in which depth matters. Decent amount. Tucker trading Gibbs, London, Reed for Barkley, Worthy, Rome, Metcalf. Gibbs to Barkley, lateral move up to you. London to 3 potential starters. It's a league in which depth matters. As of now, we are starting London and Harrison. Then our wide receiver 3 is like Wan'Dale Robinson. Yeah, your depth is so bad, I understand you making this deal. Assuming this is a league, which what the league analyzer, what the website's telling us is it's telling us this is a league where you can start up to 4 wide receivers weekly. Now, if I'm wrong about that, and instead it's a league in which you only start 2 wide receivers in a flex, there you would go with the Gibbs and London side. But if not, give me the package. Now, Kevin here, running back, Kenneth Walker, auto start over Genty with no Sharps. And then the flex, Rome versus Genty is going to be a real conversation just because how good the matchup is for Rome this week. I still probably lean with, actually, I don't know. Full PBR format, I want Rome. Roma's been phenomenal. He's like the wide receiver 4 in fantasy points, and you have the best matchup you could possibly ask for. D Treats here at wide receiver. Egbuka's plan A. If he doesn't play, Pearsall's plan B. And then we'll go Dobbins here in the flex regardless. So go with Egbuka if he plays. If not, go with Ricky Pearsall. I'm not playing Worthy. John Robinson trading Travis Etienne and Javonte for Brian Thomas. No, I don't think you can do this. I mean, I understand that running back's loaded here for you, but if you're selling these two starting running backs, just frankly, you need a better price tag. You need to be charging more, in my opinion. FF King says, if I can't get Nico, would you trade Etienne for Flowers? I would not trade Etienne for Flowers, but I would for sure trade Etienne for Nico. PS Whoop, trading Ginty and Tet for Jahmyr Gibbs. Is this it says Dynasty, but it's not a Dynasty. If this is a redraft format, give me Gibbs. If it's Dynasty, give me Ginty. Shabby coming through here for the flex. We are looking at Kyron versus, I guess, like, because Keenan being the best option. You got to go Kyron Williams. I hate the matchup. Hate the fact that Blake Corum got some usage in the red zone this past week. And I hate that Kyron's never really been a receiving back here in Los Angeles, but I'm still playing him over freaking Keenan Allen. Now, Money Mullins here at running back. We're going to go with the combo of Hampton, Kyron. Wide receiver, give me Puka, Lamb. And then in the flex, I don't want to start any of these running backs. It's going to be down between Devonta Smith and Ricky Pearsall. We got word that, like, I have Ricky Pearsall ranked ahead of Smith right now, but we got word that Purdy's not playing, so I'm going to be a little hesitant. I think you look for the Jennings update, but you probably plan on going with Ricky Pearsall over Devonta Smith for now. Now, Soggy Potato here for the flex. Okay, this is a 6-team league. You play Bucky Irving, but this isn't. Yeah, this is ridiculous. What I would recommend if you're playing in a 6-team league, to be honest with you, my guy, I know maybe it's too late to do it this year, but ask your commish if y'all can add a couple flex spots in it. As if you're in a 6-team league and you only have one flex spot, like right now on your bench, you have like Ashton Ginty, Kyron Williams, Javonte, Ladd, and London. That is crazy. Now, Hungry Jack. Quarterback, are we going Hurts or Daniel Jones? Give me Hurts. And wide receiver, yeah, I would go with Keenan over Franklin and Matthew Golden. I'm really excited to see what we have with Matthew Golden this next week, though. Zorro is goated, trading JMO for T. Higgins. I have T. Higgins, so maybe I'm a little bit biased here, but I would still take Higgins even with no Burrow. It's definitely a lot closer. Ryan says, what do we think of my guy? Hampton is scary. Here's my thing. Nick Chubb, we know, is not going to catch a ball. Cap ceiling. And I'm saying this as somebody who has way more dollars invested into Nick Chubb this year in underdog basketball drafts. And hell, I even have Nick Chubb in the Flock League. But, and like Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt's an upside case. But we don't have the floor. Like, he hasn't had the role. With Hampton, like, I understand he's looked bad. He's been playing 70% of the snaps in his first 2 NFL games ever. And again, it looks like the other guys aren't compelling here. So I think we go ahead and I think we play Amari Hampton at running back. Then tight end, give me Harold Fannin over Hawkinson. And then down in the flex, we're going to go with Igbuka, assuming he plays. If Igbuka doesn't play, you probably go with Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt. Now, E-Rock with our next question. Here to trade where we're sending Kamara upgrading to Derrick Henry, Egbuka upgrading to A.J. Brown, and Quentin Johnson upgrading to Brian Thomas. So yes, we will take the 3 upgrades. And we will not think twice about it either. Now, Jake A says, looking to pivot off Kyler before Corum steals work. Or Kyron. I think you're selling at a low price, to be honest. Like, I don't hate the idea of selling high on Kyron Williams. I don't hate the idea of buying low on Mike Evans. But for me, I just don't think that their value is close together, especially not in a league where you only start 2 wide receivers in a flex. So I would go ahead and I'd hold on to Kyron here. Now, Raw Goopy, here for the flex, we have Calvin Ridley, or I guess, no, we're going to go Deebo Samuel. Even with Mariota at quarterback, for me, I think that quarterback probably matters more for Terry McLaurin than it does for Deebo Samuel. Maybe I'm wrong with this, but Deebo's going to get these artificial touches or manufactured touches, especially as you consider the fact that you have no Austin Eckler. So naturally, they are just going to have to go through and they are going to have to hit him close to the line of scrimmage. Okay. Now, Big Red, always happy to see us, says, somehow made this deal. What to improve on next with the team? Tight end and running back help for sure. Would love your input. FYI, Hunter's an IDP, so not on waivers. Okay, good to know, my guy. I have no idea how the hell you made this trade. Very clearly, we would rather have Drake London. I don't think it's close. Looking at what we have at running back, you have Achane and Bucky. So we don't necessarily need to upgrade there. We have Judkins as quality depth as well. Wide receiver, we have Chase, JSN, Rome. Here's the thing, man. I mean, you have such great running backs and wide receivers that I would highly recommend going through and looking to try to sell a wide receiver or a running back for an elite quarterback or an elite tight end, mainly just because you can afford it. Especially with your league settings, if you only start 2 wide receivers in a flex, you look at the running backs and wide receivers that you have on your bench, they are phenomenal. So yeah, go ahead and upgrade the onesies. You have an incredible team here. Great trade getting Drake London. Phenomenal deal there. Now, PKB 90. Here for the flex. $14 team. Who I've never. Am I going to embarrass myself? Am I going to show that I'm a fraud by admitting that I have no idea who the hell this guy is? Who is Xavier Scott? And why is he on our team? Just a simple yes or no would suffice. Lava says Vikings running back 2. Then why the hell does our site say that he's a wide receiver? Am I a fraud for not knowing who this dude is? Looks like other people don't know who he is either. People are saying he's a running back. Our site has him as a wide receiver. Mike says he's the RB2. Okay, so maybe I need to tell the devs, hey, flip this guy over. But regardless, we're not starting his ass. I'm stalling here because all our options to get in the lineup are gross. Ugh, dear God. Ugh. Ugh. I would probably go Travis Hunter and hope for a big play, and Trevion Henderson and hope for a big play. Nobody here has guaranteed touches by any means. It's just, who do you think can have a big play? Who do you think can have a touchdown? You're not getting volume regardless. Sack Jack. Here, quarterback. Give me Caleb easily over Daniel Jones. Caleb's in a phenomenal matchup against the Cowboys. And then down in the flex, I'll go with Jerry Jeudy, but I will say I'm not excited about it. Like, I do not want to be starting Jerry Jeudy against the toughest defense in the league, when at the same time, Jerry Jeudy really just has not done anything so far. But yeah, who else am I going to tell you to play? Josh Downs, Cooper Kupp. Money Scope says 14-team Superflex tight end premium. Don't know who to start this week. So it looks like we're not going to have Tucker Kraft. So I think you got to go ahead and I think you have to play Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt instead. Obviously, like if you could go back in time, I wish we would have played Jalen Waddle over Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt. But trying to think. Yeah, just go JCM. And then we're leaving everything else as is. Do we have a different quarterback option? Tyrod Taylor? Yeah, no way in hell we're playing Tyrod over Marcus Mariota. Now, World E, here for the flex, I would consider Tet and ETN over Kyron. Again, Kyron, horrendous matchup. It's a full PPR format. I have Kyron 29. I have Tet 32. I have ETN 33 in my flex rankings. So technically, I have Kyron ahead of them. But they are really close. Those would be the guys you would consider swapping. Now, Froster is going with Kamara and Rome versus Saquon Barkley. Yeah, give me Barkley here. 10-team league. You can afford to sell the wide receiver in that case. Okay, let's refresh this. All right, we're catching up good. Joey C, here at quarterback, give me Caleb and then Michael Penix over Russ. Running back, Javonte, Chase Brown are back-to-back. We're going to play both of them, to be honest. Tight end, we're going to go Zach Ertz over Hawk. Flex, Chase Brown. And, dear God, you have Brian Thomas and London. Go London in the other spot. We'll bench Brian Thomas. But I feel it's tough. I feel like you can trade for a better tight end if that's how good your team is. Here for Trist, we're definitely playing Amari and Hampton RB2. And then in the flex, you go Jacoby Myers. I was way, way, way too low on Jacoby Myers coming into this season. We should have been much higher on Myers, and we've tried making up for that. We've moved him up in our rankings dramatically. Okay. Next question from Shimos. For the flex, we're going to go Cortland Sutton. I understand Sutton had a bad week this past week, but like we've seen a large enough sample where I'm not writing off Cortland Sutton from 1 week. It's almost irrelevant for me. Now, A. Marco trading Metcalf, Olave for Josh Allen. It's a league where it looks like depth's going to matter a bunch. We have Tet, Ridley, Diggs, Ricky, Jacoby, Sutton. So you just have so many wide receivers that you can't start. Or even if the depth matters, you can afford to go get Josh Allen here. Now, Blake trading Kenneth Walker, Nico Collins for Genty and Higgins. Walker to Genty, slight upgrade. Nico to Higgins, large downgrade. Based off both the injury to Joe Burrow as well as the injury to Charbonnet, at this point, I think I may rather have Kenneth Walker and Nico Collins. Now, Jay Berg here at wide receiver. Give me Brian Thomas over Tet and Adams. Tight end, give me Jawan over Hawk. And then down in the flex, we're going to go with Tet over Adams. Brady is goated. Here for the flex. It's disgusting, but it's like Travis Hunter, Cam Scadaboo, Trevion Henderson. Scat's probably the starting running back in Miami, but we don't know for sure. It's a bad offense. I know they looked decent against the Cowboys last week. That shouldn't be the expectations going forward. So I think if you're just starting players in this range, you're shooting for the touchdown. I think Travis Hunter gives you a big play upside, but obviously no volume or no guaranteed volume. Now, KB123. Javonte is somebody that you just have to get in your lineup. Like, I would start Javonte over Kyron Williams this week. That game, I think, is supposed to be the second highest scoring game of the week, only behind the Lions and Ravens. Now, J-Rod trading Bucky and Kincaid for James Cook and Golden. Bucky to James Cook, slight upgrade. Kincaid to Golden, who cares? I would rather have James Cook over Bucky at this point. Jedi Master trading Nico for Hubbard and Ridley. Do not do this. Actually, it's a 14-team format. What's our running back room? No, we have Swift, Kamara, Judkins, and RJ in the long term. So, yeah, you can afford Nico here. You don't need Hubbard. Dinko trading Metcalf for Olave and JCM. It's a 12-team league where you can start up to 8 players. So, the depth matters. Picking up Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt here makes sense. When the points per game drop from Metcalf to Olave, shouldn't be massive. Now, Master and Commander, running back Pollard just getting guaranteed volume over Hampton, and then going down to the flex. Hampton versus Devonta Smith is tough. Eagles have not thrown the ball whatsoever this year. I have Hampton ranked at 57. I have Smith ranked at 56 in our flex rankings this week. You can go with Smith, but honestly, I'd be fine if you go either direction. Okay. Now, looking at our next question, this is DJ Coda. Running back, give me the combo of Kamara, James Conner, wide receiver A.J. Brown. For the flex, we're going to go with Debo and Jalen Warren. And then I'd assume we can trade Sam Laporta for something. Please quit. I'm going to take DK Metcalf over Keenan Allen this week. I would consider Keenan. I would go James Conner over Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, man. Like, I understand Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt is going to project out much better with no Austin Eckler, but still. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to think. Like, Connor, I think long-term, yeah, give me Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt. But again, with these rookies, you don't get extra points for starting them on the exact week that they break out. I think you can wait to see it first. Now, going over for our next one. JDS for the flex between Olave and Hampton. Olave gives you the guaranteed target volume, so we probably go in that direction in a full PPR format. But again, the Saints project to be a horrendous offense. Now, aimless quarterback between Caleb and Bo Nix. Give me Caleb this week. Much better matchup. Running back, I'm going to go Javonte. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Got to go Kenneth Walker. And then down in, this is an 8-team league. That's why. Down in the flex, we're going to go with the combo of Javonte and London. But really hate having to bench some of those names. But it looks like we are going to have to refresh this real quick. Give me one sec. Okay. And let's go back over and pull these up. Okay, we're not that far behind on team reviews. Don't get me wrong. We are behind on team reviews. We're not going to be able to get to them today. But we're not as far behind as I thought, which is good to see. Oh, okay. Let's pull it back over to these quicker questions. Aimless, like we said, we're going to go Caleb over Bo. Running back, we're going to go Walker. And then down here in the flex, we're going to go with Javonte and London. Now, Payday Fool, running back, we're going to take Genty Pollard as the running backs with the guaranteed volume. Wide receiver, Rome, phenomenal matchup. Devontae Adams. Actually, no, Zay Flowers in a better game environment. We'll go Flowers. Tight end, Kraft, plan A, but of course, if he doesn't play, you will have to pivot. And then over here in the flexes, Devontae Adams for sure will be one of these. And then I think you can go with Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt in the other one over Travis Hunter. But it's not that easy one way or another. But Phil says we just hit 600 likes on the stream. So let's go ahead and let's give away some free questions. Again, all you got to do to get free questions for the streams will be to drop a like on the live stream and then drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chats. And then we can go ahead and we can pick a couple of y'all to send free questions to. Okay. Now, I chase with our next start set. Running back, Jordan Mason and Kenneth Walker are both must-start names. Wide receiver, I'm going to go Rome Odunze. Tight ends, Britton Strange versus Jonnu. Give me Strange. Played like 90% of the snaps this past week. And then we'll go with Tony Pollard in the last flex spot. In general, I just like starting the running backs with guaranteed volume in the flexes. Feel like it gives you a high floor. Now, salty reasoning, wide receiver, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take DJ Moore given the strong matchup. And then for the flex, we'll probably go Keenan Allen as well. I think you can bench Terry this week, Mariota at quarterback. And then here for Ontarius, if we were to change anything, I'd want to get Travis. Actually, I'm going to go Garrett Wilson over Deebo Samuel. Considering the fact that you have, I think, missing Daniel Jones is a bigger deal than missing Justin Fields, to be honest. But let's go ahead and let's send away some more of these free questions. We got Guva here with the free question. Let me send this over to you, my friend. Just found you on the site and just sent you over that free question. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on the stream. Let's send somebody else a free start set. We got Enlightened Taco. Let me send you that free start set here, my friends. Enlightened Taco, just sent that over. And then Noof. Just found you and just sent you over that free start set question as well. Appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream. Let's go ahead. Exceeds here for the flexes. We're going to take the combo of JMO and George Pickens. For Ben, trading Bucky, Marv, Kelsey for Henderson, JSN, Kraft. JSN, Bucky, Tomato, D'Amato. Give me Marv over Henderson. Give me Kraft over Kelsey. So honestly, this is going to be a fair deal, and this is going to be up to you. Now, Squishy here at wide receiver. I know we're going to go Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel at wide receiver. I'm going to go with David Njoku over Hunter Henry at tight end. And then the flexes, we can't flex the running back. So we're going to go with Devonta Smith and then probably Quentin Johnston. Stevens with our next one. For the flex, give me Sutton over Igbuka. I'm scared off the Igbuka injury. Kev Lord, running back. I'm going to go with Hampton over Judkins. Tight end, give me Pitts over Loveland. For the flexes, we're going to go Rome and Flowers. We have Tet as well as an option. You know what? I'm going to... Dear God. I think you actually leave it like this, but I would love to get Tet in if we could. Young Beast. Here, stupid simple. You play Travis Etienne. You play Garrett Wilson. Fippy trading Rome for Hampton and Hampton and Terry. Running back, we have Gibbs, Chase Brown. So here's the thing. I think you got to take Rome at this point. I like the idea, don't get me wrong, of going through and trading for Amari and Hampton. I just felt like you could probably do it at a cheaper cost, to be honest. Okay. Now, Fippy trading Dak, Rome for Daniels and Olave. I would probably prefer this deal for Daniels. Bitter Hornet trading Chase Brown, Troy Franklin for Josh Jacobs. Oh, yeah. I'd rather have Jacobs at this point after the injury to Burrow. I think you're in a better offense. Sag Jack says, remove the QBs. He thinks Brian Thomas Jr. equals JSN. What should I do? If he thinks Brian Thomas Jr. equals JSN, send him Brian Thomas Jr. for JSN. Like, why would we also include Jaden Daniels in it? Because realistically, you should be way more excited about what we have with Daniels than Bo Nix, even with the injury. Now, Quilds says, need help. Are you asking us to look at your team? So 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. I think you have enough wide receiver depth to potentially go out there and trade for a better running back. Hey, that's what kind of trade you were looking for. But yeah, you have a great team. You have Lamar, you have Bowers, you have a ton of wide receivers. If you want to upgrade to a better running back, you can go do that. Nidell trading Bucky and Hollywood for Flowers and Debo. Bucky's by far and away the best player in this deal. 14-team format, I understand picking up the extra starter, but also 14-team league. I want to be charging a premium for selling your running back. C. Wagner, I know Marv's disappointing, but you still would way rather have Marv over Ferg. CBJ says May, Swift, Harrison versus Lamar and Hampton. Give me Hampton over Swift. Give me Lamar over Marv and May. Not close. 100% I would do that deal. Carter with our next one. For the flex, DeAndre Swift gives you the guaranteed touches, the guaranteed volume. We're going to go Swift. Tight end, give me Jawan Johnson. Looks like Kraft's going to miss. And if Igbuka does not play, you're going to go Jalen Warren for the Igbuka flex spot. But let's refresh, see if we have any more quick questions. We've got Trey here with the start set. Running back, we're going to go Bucky. Bijan as auto starts. Wide receiver, give me Rome and Chase. Tight end, we're going to go Ertz. And then in the flexes, we're going to go with Javonte and Keenan Allen. Noof starts Strange over Njoku. Flex, we're going to go with Hampton and I'll go Pittman over Judy based off how bad the matchup is with the Browns. I'm just getting scared off of all Browns. Next man up, Dobbins versus Ramadre. They are very, very close. Back-to-back in my rankings. I think Dobbins probably in a better spot. We're going to go Ferg over Ertz. And then in the flex, Ricky Pearsall is plan B. Igbuka is plan A. Okay, so we just refreshed that. So I know we still have some start sit questions to get through, but I'm going to be streaming for extra long tomorrow to make sure that we answer those. I told the fiance that I'm going to be a little bit more normal this year. While I'm still going to live stream every single day, I will try to make like a night a month, us to have a date night. So we are going to go get dinner tonight. It's our first time being able to get dinner together this football season. So we did the stream a little bit earlier today, so I know we'll have to catch up on some of those roster reviews in the live stream tomorrow. But, of course, they will be sent to you through the site, so you don't have to worry if you're not able to make the stream. You'll still see it regardless. But I really appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen, hanging out with us. And, again, I'm in a live stream every single day answering questions. The majority of them that we are answering are free. All you got to do to get those free questions, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. And if you wanted to be able to come to the beginning of these live streams, I'd recommend hitting the bell next to the subscribe button so YouTube would tell you when we are live. But I really appreciate all of y'all, and I really hope I get to see you out with that live stream tomorrow. And if not, I hope you have a phenomenal weekend. And of course, I'll be live streaming Sunday morning as well, answering all your fantasy